I went in with the highest expectations of this game. Actually, I pre-ordered it. I got the deluxe edition and everything like this. So when I started this game, I was ready for a long ride, and I couldn't really quit playing once I started. In the beginning of the game, I was popping the trophies pretty
Records of the
equally, and
hero Delita High.
everything was almost exactly the same. The improvements were so easily implemented to where it wasn't even a problem. I understood the whole screening systems, I understood all the menus, everything like that. And the only thing about this game that I'll just address right away is that there's no War of the Lions content in it at all. So I am always going to want War of the Lions to come back, and that goes for all of the Final Fantasy remasters. You know, I want that Dawn of Souls 1 and 2. I want some of that 3DS for Final Fantasy 3D. Then I want the 3D version of Final Fantasy 4. Um, there were advanced versions of Final Fantasy 5 and 6, stuff like that. And again, with like 7, 8, and 9, you get temporary party members that like Sephiroth that would be really nice to have in your party all the time. There's a lot of new content that they could do in different ports of the games. And I think that they should just more add to their games than to sit here with the remasters and take away from some of the extra content, because now it seems like we should have just waited for a different port. But another thing right here is I like to play as an orator. I really do. It's always been my favorite thing. So one of the first monsters that I got in the game was a green dragon here, and I was going to bring it into my party and have it lay eggs and create more types of dragons, because if you have one kind of the enemy, they can make the other kinds for you. So the green dragon will make a blue dragon will make a red dragons will make green dragons. It's gonna be a good circle. I did buy the pre-order and the deluxe thinking that the white, red, and dark equipment was like actual items, but all it was skins. They came with two avatars for deluxe, which was just a picture of either Ramza or Delita. The items that the pre-order and the deluxe editions give, I guess they're one of a kind on the deluxe edition, but everything else was stuff you'll get very early on in the game, to where it wasn't really, in my opinion, worth buying. Uh, but here, I got to experience the story. Right in this particular battle, I was enjoying it. You can look at my level and see I'm like level 20, and everybody else was like level 4 and 5. That's because I know this game pretty well. Here I join in some more monsters into my collection to poach. They will lay eggs and continuously make more monsters, which is the next good point about this game, is that the limit, I believe, is set to 50. So you can have 50 units in your party at once now, and that's very much appreciative. So here's me taking every monster that I got. I'll do this throughout the entirety of the game. But yeah, with the added movement of having just more units, you can actually move around longer periods of time before you get to that limit where you have to kick people out of your team, your army. Uh, by the end of this chapter, I was actually hooked into it, and I was like, okay, it's the exact same thing, except for there's got to be a way to recruit more characters early. That's what I was told, is like Cloud would be recruitable earlier on, and that's not necessarily true at all. Yeah, he's maybe like a battle or two early, but that's about as much as I can say. Like in my
Come on,
review, is
every bit helps.
the
Onwards and
squire
upwards,
jobs. They
victory
got the
awaits.
focus, so you can just continuously gain JP while an enemy just sits there. And I know people turn the enemy into a toad and take down his attack and his speed. It's not all necessary, but there is a toad versus toad thing that we'll get into later on. Right here, what did it get? Oh,
Good day to you.
yeah,
That's the spirit.
Aaron's
Who's
here.
going?
Some of these trophies were dead giveaways. I went in with knowing that move, find, or the treasure hunter, whichever one is called, none of those items are useful until you get later into chapter 4. So chapter 1 I didn't have to worry about hardly anything, just the story and to level up my characters and unlock jobs. Chapter 1, yeah, was just JP grind and job unlocking. They made chapter 2 and 3 ridiculous easy, especially chapter 2. Here I enticed the pig. You used to have to bring 5 orators into battle, but with the save mechanic in this game, you can get away with just bringing 1. And yeah, you'll eventually get it, especially if you used to be in the orator main job system here. I guess you could do the same thing with still, but by the time I get to the place where I need to steal items, I got Ramza as a pretty decent thief. I really do. I've never, in the other versions, had a problem stealing the Genji gear or anything like that.
Of course, the wares I can produce.
And it says, welcome poacher, and I was so glad because I was always a big poacher in Final Fantasy Tactics. That's why I think like this game went by so fast. It came out September 30th, and by September 7th morning, I had this platinumed. So I don't think I've had a platinum trophy faster in my life than Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster. I don't really have to make as many attempts. Everybody else? Okay. Oh, here I do a little bit of poaching, I believe. I was on a live stream. You can check it out on my channel. The Poacher's Way. Okay, I didn't get the rare poach. I can probably get a trophy for hopping this red chocobo here. Let's see if I can pop the trophy. There's a moment here. Let's see what we got. Got a level 1, a level, yeah. I'm gonna favor the level 12. There's the trophy, my feathered friend. Alright, that was a live stream. Yeah, it was a little different. I didn't want to talk to myself that much. Here in chapter 2, you can entice the Dryad, which will end up unlocking some pretty rare items. And you probably want to entice these monsters that I'm doing in this video, because there's a trophy tied to getting pretty much at least 10 items that you can't buy in stores from the Poacher's Den. And I did this the fastest that I could. I could have done it faster, and I do have the PlayStation 5 version to do it faster. I got the digital, so it came with the PS4 and PS5 version of it. So there was a treant. It will start to lay eggs and hatch more of its family. Each family has 3 versions of the enemy in it. So I could have gotten a chocobo in chapter 1, but I knew that this is the chocobo I wanted to start off with. So that's Boko from Final Fantasy V, which it wasn't long before this game came out. I mean, Final Fantasy V I mean, this game was around the same exact time Final Fantasy VII was made, so yeah, it wasn't too far away. But we get to see Boko, which was really nice. We also came here in Chapter 2 and enticed
I bring news.
Pig. So now we have a lot of the enemies that we want permanently in our party into our party. And the Pig storyline, the Treant is random battle, and the Minotaur, the Floating Eye, and the Mind Flayer is a random battle. Treant is random battle. Dragon is random battle. Chocobo was a story battle. But going through the story, I was always so over leveled.
Victory awaits.
I mean, yeah, there was a point where I started to meet my match, but at this area, I had Agrius, and I'm telling you, Mustaudio and Agrius are very good
And look what I found.
at what they do, of their unique job. In Chapter 2, after you get done with Chapter 1's little JP farm and job unlocking, Chapter 2 you gotta learn how to do every errand, because errands first start becoming available for this. But when they said like Cloud was going to be recruitable earlier, I would not have been disappointed if they added some rare Squire unique jobs in the place to recruit characters. You know how you can recruit like some Squires from the Warriors Guild? Well, there's no uniques, there's no Cloud in there. It would have been nice, I'll admit, like there's a lot of jobs. Emondo or whatever his name is, the guy that's like a vampire guy. He comes with the 2 assassins. His job's cool. I think he can just break infinite samurai weapons, which would have been nice.
The final battle was.
But it would have been nice though if they added some stuff like the Fell Knight or the Holy Sword. Someone that's not going to be as powerful as the OG Agriuses and stuff, but would have the abilities to at least be able to, you know, evolve, we'll say, because yeah, the whole thing where the army is just squires she can recruit,
I have never seen
it's
such
too
slaughter.
much, and they get the word
Just
generic because there is nothing special about them.
to the Oricite?
And they say like the unique
This
jobs
is
aren't that great, because the Squire does get some good stuff. It gets focus and stuff like that, and that's like the infinite JP. And it's also, focus is one of the best ways to start dealing heavy damage. So yeah, keep that in mind. Here I knew that I was going to get into a fight with the behemoth, so I went again, used entice on it, got the trader status on it. I did it with its little brother or cousin in the same battle, so here I get 2 behemoths into the system. They'll start laying eggs. It's pretty good for the stone shooter. It's a gun. It's not really the greatest gun, so don't worry if you don't get the behemoths. Here I think I was like really early at getting the rare wares, and when I got this trophy, only 0.5% of people got it. Like I said, I got it on October 7th, so 7 days after the game's release. Got that trophy, silver trophy. I was really pleased because this was just my normal playthrough. On the trophy, I expected it to be complete the game on Squire difficulty, complete the game on Knight difficulty, complete the game on tactical difficulty. You know, there's a lot of standards to trophies, and I think they just threw this game to make some money, and this is definitely the easiest platinum I've ever got. Either that or my playstyle on Final Fantasy Tactics was right up there. Here is the Blade of Ruin, also the Arc Knight. It's a unique job, but you never get to use it. And look at these abilities. It's cool. Like, you can take more than one person's power down. Like, why wouldn't you make these generic jobs? They would evolve during the story. And they could be super expensive, Square, to get in the game to where it balances the tactical system out, you know? And you could not, you know, feel like Cloud is no longer important, because by the time you get Cloud, you got to remember your generics are going to be weaker than Cloud. Cloud would be the improved version of his job class, but I wouldn't exclude all the recruitments to be in Squires. Here I got two of these Hydras, and Hydras are a very late game, but the greater Hydra can turn into a rubber suit, which is one of the strongest armors in a game because it compares to every knight armor. So I got the Master Adventurer, and I was worried that one of these trophies was called Master Treasure Hunter, and I thought that you were just gonna have to unearth all the locations you can get Move Find in. Which, why wouldn't that? It would be a hard trophy. I mean, a very hard trophy. But now that I've platinumed the game, my replay value is down. Like, there wasn't no trophy for getting one of every item like in Final Fantasy 13. I don't know what happened actually, because with War of the Lions, you actually had online plays, you had secret boss battles and different job classes and even more characters. I don't understand why we just took a step back. I mean, one thing I know about Final Fantasy is that everybody that plays their Final Fantasy for the first time is like, oh, I want more Final Fantasy. And I'm going to tell you, you usually don't find another experience quite like your first. You usually don't. I mean, so some people that do, and they become the fans of the franchise. But
enormously so, in fact.
Square Enix, I mean, it's 2025. You could have gave the characters noses. You could have added a little bit more job variety to it with just squires. You could have, you know, enhanced the experience with new maps or new locations, new items, or say, not even like the strongest items, but stuff that you're like able to get. Like, there's the Academy ring, no, it's the aptitude ring, and is the deluxe little accessory you get. That is cool. And if you added a dungeon where you could get more of that stuff, that'd be decent. But I understand, when you created these games, you made a tactical game with balance, strategy, and mixed in elements of stories and character developments. I understand that, but has the well run dry on Final Fantasy Tactics? I mean, were you afraid that the people wouldn't want more content like this? Because, like I said, when you can't find one quite like your first, the best thing they could have done is make a addition to your first. I would have loved that they came out with titles that had, I mean, 1 through 16, and they just had different challenges, different content, you know? There is that, because Final Fantasy, each one of them ages really well and resonates with people. And right now, the gaming community is at a low. There's hardly anybody that's gaming. People that are gaming are like, the whole world's not gaming. I don't know why I'm doing it. But if it ever comes back and everybody's into it, when you recreate a game, it would be nice to look at the community, what people could consider a challenge, and then try and like enhance the game, not break it. I'm not saying Square to make items and accessories into your next title to completely break it. People like the RPG tactical challenge. I'm just saying, like, you've got so many items and accessories and stuff in other games, why couldn't you just add them onto other titles and make it blend? For example, like having in Final Fantasy VII, like a new Roga materia or a wind materia that lets you cast wind magic. I mean, we all know arrow is a spell, then why can't you just implement some extra? Just a little extra in there to make people like the game a little bit more. Be like, look, I bought this game, but it's not different than the original. It's got more to it. Because when you say you got more to it, it's the attraction letter. You're like, oh, I want that. You know, like that's how I would go. Because when you tell people this is just like the PS1 version with better menus, that's not the seller. I've seen so many people in comment say they want Vagrant Story, they want Tactics 1, 2, and 3, they want Vagrant Story 12 and Revenant Wings. And if Square was to create 12 again, but not use the Zodiac systems, they used the OG US where like any character can equip anything and do anything, then you have Square Enix being able to say what we were doing back then, and people were able to successfully get like quote unquote overpowered. Let's give, you know, some challenges or some lower challenges for not so great people to get some different stuff. Just a little extra for buying the game. But it was, you know, that's the only complaint I had, because I did play the game. I really enjoyed it. I played the crap out of it. And in the end, though, when War of the Lions has a little bit more context, the only thing this game really had going was the voice acting. And it all depends on if you like the story or not, if you're going to even listen to the characters. But for the most part, people did do good with the voice acting. You had the greatest voice actors in the gaming history helping make this work, and it works. But there's one thing that you got to be very aware of, is this is a game where the character models and stuff don't exactly have character depth to them. And to me, when you add voice acting to something that, you know, doesn't really even like have moving mouths or something, or a nose, and it's voice acting, it's paying a lot of people a lot of money to enhance the experience, but yet you're not able to enhance it in other ways at the same time. I appreciate the voice acting, but this is just biased to me too. Like, this is something that I would hope that you argue with and not really side with me, because it would show you have more of an independent mind. But the voice acting wasn't needed in this kind of game for me, not unless you were going to recreate the whole entire game, because I wouldn't have paid the budget. I wouldn't have paid all the voice actors to do it. When, yeah, because Square Enix, they do struggle sometimes. And this is my review. This is just what I was thinking. I was like, you know, some of this stuff, it's pretty easy. And I'm not having the total difficulty spike that I had in my first playthrough. Just because of the system being a lot more user-friendly now. A little bit too friendly. I thought Tactician was too hard and Squire was too easy, and sometimes I would be leveling up and I'd just put it in the Squire for some reason, and I'd forget about it and ended up being on Squire difficulty for most of the battles. With that done and over with, at this point in the game I was at the end of the levels and in the chapter 4, and this is the point of no return. Well, actually, this is past the point of no return here. I think right here is when I looked at the trophies. I seen the ones that I had left to get, and I was like, I can do that. I'm just going to get into the final dungeon, get my gold trophy for completing the game, and then I'll go and complete, like, I guess some of the more easier trophies that I've seen on the list that I had left to do. So here I had to do dance, and it's funny that only females can dance, but if a male mimics the dance, they can do it too. Same with females. If they mimic a male dance, they do it too. So yeah, that was pretty cool that I got to discover that. Then let's see, what else did I do? Yeah, I get the Bard trophy.
My move.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was worried that I wasn't gonna get these trophies during the final battles, but I actually ended up doing it, and it was pretty cool. Like, here I had Zodiark, but I don't think I used Zodiark in this video. I think I used Odin or Bahamut, but the idea was just to come in here and hit them with 5 summons. And evidently I must have already used a couple of them because the mystical beast just showed up. So here was this ending is sad, but it makes you respect everything in the game, okay? I don't know what it is about the ending of this game, but then when you get to this point, you're like, I now connect with this game. But yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of the story. I've lived over 10 years of my life, maybe even 20 years of my life with this story in my life and in my schedule of, you know, game completion. So I actually knew everything. Here we were going through all the scriptures and the easier trophies that I had to get, and at this point the platinum was in the bag. I did do this on the PS4 first. Now I can redo it on the PS5. And I got the Crisis Core game to do on the PS4, even though I gotten the platinum on the PS5. So I got some more Final Fantasies to play, but I also got Resident Evils and Kingdom Hearts, and yeah, other games to play as well. So it's gonna be all interesting. But yeah, I seen that this scene wasn't actually into the game, so we still got a lot more to unearth about Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. But the last trophy that I got here was also the first one most people get, and that's by recruiting a member into the guild, into your party. So like I said, I would have added more types of jobs in this screen right here, maybe really expensive jobs that people couldn't normally afford. But that was my playthrough of Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles. I do prefer the War of the Lions version, I'm not gonna lie. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, ask me anything you need and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.
So, you'll hire this sellsword for... Fair fortunes to you both. Let me know if you need aught else.